All right, how you doing? So my name is Franklin Cruz. I want to talk about divorce. And I know typically I always talk about real estate and real estate developments because that's my forte. But a lot of people don't know, but I went through almost a 4 year long divorce. I was married for almost 15 years, two boys. Now they're 23 and 17. And if you're going through a divorce, I am going to break down a lot of things because I played my own attorney for a period of time as well. And I just want to be able to help. And so I completely understand the entire process because I spent over hundreds of thousands of dollars on legal fees. And then on the actual ending of the divorce as well was over $500,000 in assets. So the things that you think you know, if you're going through a separation or thinking about a divorce or anything like that, hopefully this video can help you. Because I've already went through it, and I really don't want anybody else to go through this kind of pain that you're going to go through. So number one, if you're going through a separation right now or divorce, what I would say is this: if you're even hinting at a divorce, the first thing is if you're even having the D word discussed in your marriage, you're already kind of heading down a wrong direction. That should never be discussed. Without communication, with communication, anything is possible. Without it, everything will fail. So do your best to communicate as quickly as you possibly can, especially if you have a family. Now, look, I do understand that sometimes two people don't make it work. Like they don't want to make it work. And so they want a separation. I would just say this: I was in a 15-year long marriage. And at the end of the separation, or when I knew things were going to, when we were separated a month, um, I found out that she was already with somebody else who was a part of my Bible study. Now, I only had a 5-person Bible study. And so I knew everybody very intimately. And this was such a good friend during the separation. I was reaching out to him for just men guidance, man. I was just going through it. Um, and it was not easy for me. And I just needed somebody to talk to at that time. And I reached out to him, not knowing that he was actually with my wife at that time. And long story short, a lot of thoughts go through your head when you're going through a separation and a divorce. They did get married, and I'm beyond grateful that, at the end of the day, he's provided for my son. He's done a good job in a sense of making sure my son's got a roof, he's got schooling, and he's healthy, right? So those are some core things. Everything else, it is what it is. Because what I've learned is, number one, if you're like me, when I was going through a divorce, I said I would do anything for my kids. Oh my God, I would do anything for my kids. As a grown man, you say that I would do anything for my kids, and then what you find out immediately is, and you don't want to go to jail. The minute you find out that somebody's capable of lying, I just want to give you a heads up. Like, don't even play with that person. I just remember being in court and hearing certain things that you think in your head. I thought in my head that like a judge can see somebody's lie. I don't know why I thought that, but I thought that. I was like, "Oh, she's lying. She's lying. I have proof of it." And in court, what I found out was all that matters is what the judge believes. And if you're a man, especially if you're a muscular man and military background, sometimes it doesn't help, but it is what it is. Like, you have to let go. And I'm going to go over the things that's helped me. And then I'm going to go over as well, like things that you should really think about if you're going through the separation or divorce. So the first thing too, what I have learned, if you're going through a divorce, immediately what you want to find out is focus real quick on your assets, because you've got to be able to survive. When I was going through this, literally within the first couple days of the separation, I had all my accounts transfer. All money was transferred out of my account. I only had $1,000 in my personal account. All business, everything just stopped. I had to go to the bank and say, "Hey, this was a security breach, and this needs to come back." And yes, who you think that it is what it is. And so when that happened, I was just like, okay, I need to figure this out. And I remember one of my coaches, business coach, said, "Look, it's a security breach. You got to make it work." So what I would say is, if you're hinting to a separation or divorce, like, just make sure that you can survive and live. Have a conversation. List all your assets. I did in a spreadsheet. List all your assets real quick before the marriage or during the marriage. Just do your best to not get emotional about it. And it's difficult, especially if you have kids. When you have kids, and then if you haven't seen your kids, what I would recommend is immediately get a parenting plan as quickly as you can and get on an app called Talking Parent. If you can get on an app that like Talking Parent, then what you can do is just say, okay, fine, I'm on this app, I'm going through a Talking Parent. Fantastic. You're communicating the way that you need to communicate that the court wants to see. And you're not getting triggered. My thing is, do not have conversations, because the minute that you get in trouble legally, that's not what you want at all. Gather your financial data and your facts. And gather anything that is like hard evidence proof as well. Right now, and I'm only saying on my situation, I went through separations before with my now ex-wife, and we always made it work. But each time was very difficult financially, spiritually. Like, you just kind of question life, and you question a lot of things. And you're like, why am I going through this? And so, so what you have to do, for me, what I've learned was, like, this happened 2 times over that the accounts were drained. And I was like, okay, how am I going to make this work? Well, this time around, it was drained, but I was able to get the security breach fixed. So just make sure you have enough capital, because you just don't know. People react very differently when it comes to high pressure situations, and you don't know. You really don't know. Yeah, I knew this person a long time. Obviously, she was my wife for a very long time, and then a switch happened, and then I was like, okay, this is interesting. And all you can do is move forward. There's nothing else you can really do about it. The other item as well is what I saw was immediately request that parenting plan, immediately get in court if you can, if it goes this direction. Know also that if you live in the state of Florida and you're going through this, child custody is very different. But usually it's automatic at 50-50. So you can automatically arrange that. And I highly recommend, if you're not getting your time with your child, immediately file for a contempt of court immediately. And you could file it. You don't have to use an attorney. You can file contempt of court. You could be per se as well if you don't have the money to move forward. So don't get intimidated by another. Per se is PROSE, just FYI. And I did that for over a year, and it kind of worked, but it's so time consuming, especially when another party has a lot of resources. They just keep on putting you in court for whatever. And anybody, that's the other thing I learned. It's like anybody can take you to court for anything. It actually does not even need like any kind of burden of truth at all. If they want to take you, they will. Another thing is, when you're going through this is what I call the self-care during divorce that I highly recommend, that worked for me. And what worked for me, number one, was meditation every single day, 20 minutes a day. You have to keep spiritually grounded. There's a difference between prayer and meditation, right? So prayer is when you ask God for something, or whoever the creator is to you. And meditation is when you shut your mouth and you let him talk to you. Stay still, 20 minutes a day, every day. It's talked about in all of the spiritual texts that I have read, from the Bible, Hinduism, Buddhism, the Quran, the Torah. I went through this huge spiritual journey because I just wanted to find out the truth for me. I was tired of, reaching out to pastors and they had their own agendas. So for me, it was just like, man, not even one phone call to see how I'm doing from anybody, from that group. So there's got to be more to it. And so my core principles rule everything. And if you want to use this, you can. Number one is make sure you do everything with complete integrity. For the righteous man has the ear of God. And so that's a big one, right? Make sure you have love in everything that you do, period. Even during this situation, find the love, period. If you can make it work, make it work. But I would highly recommend, the minute that somebody physically attacks you, physically hits you or anything like this at all, if I was you, I would call it. Because now you're getting at a very dangerous place. Because if you live in America, it does not play that way. Especially in the court system, all it has to do is somebody switch the language who is smaller than you, if you are the man, and I'm sorry to say, but you're gonna spend some time. Period. So do not go through that. I highly recommend just don't do it. Me personally, right right when situations happened, I was out and that was it. And we haven't spoke since, and it's been almost 6 years. So that's the other thing. Be physically active yourself. Be physically fit. This is the time to get slim and trim and just get your mind right. Be still. Listen. Eat clean. No processed food anymore. Just eat clean. Lots of water. Black coffee if you can. Turkey, fish, chicken. 2 rotisserie chickens a week will do it for you. I'm telling you. Avoid alcohol. Do not black out. Don't do what I did at one time. I was drinking alcohol 3 times a day for over a year. I had Kahlua in my coffee. I had Coke Zero and vodka for lunch. And then I had a lot of wine during nighttime. And I just kept on trying to knock myself out every day for as long as I can, actually. And so, yeah, I would just say that limit that, and temptation is going to rise too. So the other thing is, women are going to come in your life if you're going through this. And what you want to do is don't fall for it right now. Not in the beginning. You need to find yourself, because the next person you're going to feel is like, oh, this is the one. And you're going to want to marry him. And you're going to, it's been almost 6 years for me. I am not married. I have been engaged, actually. And then, during that process, I was like, I'm not prepared right now. So I called everything off, actually. And it's okay. And there's nothing wrong with anybody. Just FYI, like, you have to go through your own spiritual finding. You've got to go through that for you. You've got to be able to say, Megan, it's okay. Like, I got this. I'm going to be okay. And I know it sucks. I do know it sucks. And I know it's hard, especially if you have kids. Man, put it this way, I took my kids in my family, just so you can understand this. So for me, I made breakfast every single morning for the entire family. Okay. I woke up every day at 4:00 in the morning, did CrossFit, did my thing, came back. But that was my thing. My love language is acts of service, right? So I would make breakfast every morning, take the dog out for everybody. I knew that my son liked scrambled eggs, my other son liked omelets, and then my wife at that time, she liked sunny side up eggs, right? So it's like, that was my thing. And then during, Saturday and Sundays, I made pancakes and waffles for everybody. I would take the kids to school every single day. I picked up the school kids every single day. I was wrestling coach, baseball coach, basketball coach. I was the coach for everything, and I made all the money. And I loved it. So I'm not complaining. Just FYI, like, don't get it twisted. This is not like, ho was me kind of thing. This is just me being straight up with you during this process. And what I got was, when you don't have that anymore, you're going to go through some transitions real hard. And it's not simple. So have a friend group if you can. Walk every day if you can. Do your best not to have friends of the opposite sex. Have the same sex, or friend zone people if you can, and just make sure it's very clear, like, hey, I'm just looking for intelligent conversations. And that's it. I'm not looking for anything else. And I know it's going to be difficult. I get it. Trust me. I would just say, just do your best, right? Just do your best. Do your best also to read a lot, energize your brain, read a lot, and spend time with your kids if you can. So, and don't get frustrated. Just know that a saying that really helped me was like, everything is happening for me, not to me. So everything is happening for me, not to me. And I hope that helps, because that's what happened to me, was just like, everything's happening for me, not to me. And I just had to make it work. And it was a very long process. So the other thing is, when you're going through this, attorneys get paid to ride everything out. So if you're going to use attorneys, there's a great attorney in Lakeland I highly recommend. Her name is Christina Thornhill. Fantastic. If you're anywhere outside of that, my recommendation is ask for a referral. And all you want is a straight up attorney. They're going to ask you for what they call a list of all your assets. The only thing is, what happens is they use that list sometimes against you, because now they know where's all your assets, and they're going to max it out. Because remember, they get paid to actually hourly to write it out. If you could find an attorney, say, look, these are the things I want to do. I just want child custody. I need a divorce. And then if I could have some kind of fair arrangement for the situation. what would you charge me for that? Just get a one-time fee, right? That would probably work. So I'm only saying this for those that you didn't choose divorce, but divorce kind of came up on you. And what do you do about it? I don't typically share anything related to my own divorce. I'm not an attorney. I'm not any of that. I'm just a real estate developer that became a developer because of this entire situation, because land just started coming up on me and all these deals started coming up on me during this process, and it allowed me to stay busy. I'm just kind of sharing this for my own record as well to help somebody. Hopefully, if you're going through this or you know somebody going through this, you can forward this to them if you like. And just know this is that this will pass. Probably one of the best things too is I remember a business coach telling me, he said, look at your suitcase. I looked at my suitcase and said, if all you had was everything in that suitcase, you need to start being okay with that now. And I was like, damn, really? I said, yeah. If all you had was everything was in that suitcase right now, you've got to be okay with it. And that's actually all I left with. When the first time I left with nothing but a suitcase. Lived in my car for a little bit, lived at a hotel, lived at a friend's garage, lived with a woman that wasn't smart, left that immediately. And then actually got back in the house because then she moved and she was engaged during our separation. And it was really weird getting back in the house too, because like all the pictures are gone. The kids aren't there. My 18-year-old turned 18 during this process and graduated high school. I was not able to be there because I was threatened if I go there. She would do false charges and make a ruckus, and I didn't want that for my 18-year-old. So I wasn't able to be there. And to be transparent, I actually have not spoken to my 23-year-old now for almost 4.5 years. He's chosen not to speak to me. And I actually still have no idea why. I raised him since he was 3. But I would just say this is like, you're going to deal with things like this. And anybody that, just prepare yourself. There was a time frame I didn't see my youngest son for almost 6 months and then a year. And then he wasn't the same kid that I remember raising. And then I just had to be okay with it. And now he's 17. It's like, you just have to be okay with it. And it's the hardest thing in the world because you don't want to be. And you just have to let go. And it's not simple. It's not going to be easy. But I promise you this is like, if you get through it, you're going to be a lot stronger. I didn't even know if I wanted to make this damn video, really. And what I got was, nobody's promised tomorrow, so I might as well start sharing. Obviously, I'm going to share a lot of stuff that I know, which is real estate development, but also this was a part of my life for a very long time. And I filed my own motion, so I understand that. Also, the other thing too is like, if you have an attorney that ever files motions, you could always ask them, say, hey, what motions are you filing? What kind of case law are you doing? How long is this going to take? And when are you scheduling it immediately? These are little things that if you don't actually work with the attorney, I actually worked with my attorney at her office and my other attorney so I could cut costs down with them as much as I can. So I wanted to learn this. And some of the motions I actually set up. So keep your costs down as low as possible, because it can go from $1,000 to $25,000 to $100,000 like this, and you'll be shocked. And then the other attorney, you don't know, like, people just transform during this process. So anyway, I'm sharing a lot, but just to kind of backtrack, the key takeaways is this. Number one, focus on the facts. Don't get emotional, which is super difficult to say, but I'm just telling you from experience. Use evidence to support anything that you're saying. Avoid costly disputes as well. Like, you don't even want to go that route. Just keep a journal. I would highly recommend keep a journal, date it, take pictures, text if you have to. Do not get triggered, because emotions are very high when you're dealing with kids and love and not love anymore. And especially like for me, I went from, oh my God, we're going to stay together forever, which is awesome. And then okay, now we're just going through a month separation. You're already dating somebody who was in my Bible study. And then months later, they got engaged. I was like, and we were still going through the separate. And this guy I knew for over 10 years. Yeah, it was interesting that you just gotta. My grandma would say, "Kamate, kamate." That's what she would tell me. Keep moving forward as well. Drive the process. Letting your attorney know and dictate timelines with your attorney as well. Like you have to remember, they are not your friends. They are not your friends. They're not doctors. They are attorneys and they get paid hourly. So just remember that. Even though and if you may call them too, don't call them on, calm down, write down your notes, be smart about it. Mediate if possible. Immediately mediate. You're going to get a lot less than what you want. Just, dude, if you just leave with your freedom, if you leave with something at all, you can rebuild and you will be 10 times bigger. I just say that from my own. Like right after everything was going, during the separation, I actually found a deal. It was 9 acres of land on one house, converted over to 42 houses, sold it to KB Homes or 41 houses, sold it to KB Homes for $1.25 million. They named the street after me. Like, dude, you can't make that stuff up. Then I was on the front page of the newspaper on one of my developments in a good way. Then I won some awards dealing with my developments. Then I've been a part of like 20 different transactions. I've done like some super cool stuff. And I would have never been like that during the marriage. Like it wouldn't not been allowed kind of thing. So I would just say this is like, take care of yourself. Put the oxygen mask on you. Stay healthy, stay focused, connect with your loved ones if you haven't seen them in a while, your nephews or nieces, and stay grounded, and don't have any excuses. Look, life happens, right? So it's like, here's the excuseville, right? In the military, we used to say, here's the smallest violin in the world, right? So just don't do that, man. I promise you, you're gonna be fine. It's not easy. I understand. Oh, but you don't understand what she said or he said, or you don't get it. I got it. And none of it matters. What matters is how do you want to move forward? Period. The past is the past. What matters is how you move forward. Oh, but they're taking this. I got it. But God's got something better than for you. And the other thing is too is like, do you believe in the word of God or not? That's how it was it's like, that was the realization. It was like, do you believe in the word of God or not? And mine was like, yeah. All right. So those 4 principles matter. Just do those 4 principles. I promise you everything will work out. For the righteous man has the ear of God, so that means integrity. Integrity is number 1. Number 2, make sure you're egoless. Have no ego in this entire thing. Kill the ego, man. Look, I live here at an old church right now. At my office, I created a loft because I'm rebuilding. I believe in all the projects I'm doing. I'm all in. I'm all in. So I was like, bump it. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm at. It is what it is. It's like I've lived out of the Tesla before. So it's like, it is what it is. You'll be fine. Be egoless. Do everything with great love. That's your 3rd one. Just love. 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 It's all going to be played out. And then the last one is be aware. Be aware. Be aware and grateful. Be awareness is huge because now you're aware of what's happening. I hope this helps anybody's going through a divorce. You got this. You're not only going to survive, but you're going to thrive. All right. If you know somebody going through something like this, you can like it and share it. Will help the algorithm. They got this. Don't forget the journal. You got this. Write down those notes. You got it. All right, bye.